Something big is brewing. Devils' goaltending situation in a much better spot than it was 15 months ago, but can they put their roster into a better spot? Implications here, let's break it down. Welcome, Devil fans. Glad you're here with us today. Hope you'll stick around for the summer and hit the subscribe button to talk all things Devils hockey as we continue into the off season. So, the Jake Allen contract told us a lot. 5 years, 1.8 per year. Seems like they really kind of did whatever they could to keep him around, because that's a little bit of a weird number. 5 years for a goaltender, over 30, backup role, 1.8 a year. Definitely an interesting contract to say the least. Now, the question was going into this offseason with the Devils goaltending, obviously you gave up what you had for Jacob Markstrom. Who was going to be the backup? Well, Devils showed that with the type of contract they gave Jake Allen. They showed that, they're kind of ready and are going to move off Nico Daws. It's year 6. They don't feel like he's ready for a backup role. They give Jake Allen 5 years. It says a lot. So, Devils pretty much going to move off of Nico Daws. Question is, how and what do they move him off for? Well, sounds like, according to James Nichols, Edmonton, Calgary, and Vegas all interested on looking for, a backup goaltending role. Now, before we start making, mock trades and what the Devils could do here, we have to keep things realistic. We look at Dawes' numbers so far with New Jersey. This year in Utica, not very good. Now, Utica's team wasn't very good, but in 893, he definitely wasn't helping the situation. It's year 6. Hasn't been able to build in and be a backup goaltender in the NHL yet. He was a third-round draft pick in 2020. So when you put all those things together and you talk about value that Nico Daws has, I don't think it comes to where you're getting a ton back. Now, with the teams that are out there and teams that might need a backup goaltender, there are some teams that will be willing to overpay. But you talk about value back, I don't think we're talking, any top players, any, players who have a ton of upside. It doesn't seem like it'd be that type of trade. I mean, we saw the Devils just did with Alexander Holtz, a former first-round pick, and they attached Akira Schmid, who'd won a playoff series. Nico Daws, he's never won a playoff series. Same maybe type of goaltender in terms of upside, but you had to attach a former first round pick in Alexander Holtz and Akira Schmid to get back a player who's more of a fourth line player. Fourth line role, very good in what he does, but he's a fourth liner. So with Nico Daws, I'd expect maybe a little bit more of the same. But with those teams that were named in terms of Calgary, Edmonton, and Vegas, there's one that makes a lot of sense to me, and it's the Calgary Flames. You look at where Calgary is in terms of cap space. They're top 5. They have a ton of cap room to take in. They can take on players. They can go out and spend, and they'd be fine. So when I look at on the Devils and the Calgary Flames and look at their goaltender situation with Wolf and Cooley and needing obviously another backup goaltender among other things, that's a place where I look for a salary cap dump. And the player that comes to mind, because their defense looks pretty good, is Andre Palat. You look at Calgary's scoring last year. They were one of the worst. Bottom 5, they finished 4th worst in the NHL with 220 goals. Well, how'd they fix that problem? They didn't. They're going into next season with pretty much the exact same group. I guess they're maybe betting on some of the younger players to be able to step into a role and help score more, but that's really what they're hoping on. And if you're Conroy, and you got this job after Treliving left, there's only so much time, because when you don't have, one of those stacked resumes, a general manager who's done a bunch, you maybe don't get, those extra years. With Calgary, you looked at the team, they had 96 points. They finished bottom 5 in terms of offense. Maybe it's just an offensive player who could be the fix, and they did nothing. They didn't sign anyone. They weren't interested in upgrading the offense via free agency. So how else are they going to do that? Well, if you're New Jersey, you have a backup goaltender, a potential backup goaltender upside that some other teams might believe, and you give them a forward that you need to get rid of, that you need to move off of, because you don't have the salary cap room to make that work. Calgary, well, they have $15 million. They have plenty of salary cap room. They have plenty of need on offense. I mean, you look at Ondrej Palat, maybe he struggled the past few years in New Jersey, but he's not long-term, and you can fit him in there and probably look as a better player than some other players in the lineup. You get another player on your offense who has, some offensive upside, who can be, a solid third-line player for you. And your Calgary, well, you're at 96 points, and you need to make some type of move. I mean, you were close enough, but the offense, well, that looked like you should have been close to, if not a bottom 5 team. I mean, 220 goals for, and you finished 4th last in scoring. Probably doesn't look like a 96-point team. Didn't make any adjustments in free agency in terms of making the offense better. And when you look at backup goaltending, you already have one of the best young goaltenders in the NHL with Dustin Wolf. You pair him with Devin Cooley, a 28-year-old who has very minimal NHL experience, and that's kind of what you're going to go with. I mean, even Nico Daws has more NHL experience than Devin Cooley. So when I look at the teams that are maybe interested or could be a landing spot for Nico Daws, the first one that comes to mind would be the Calgary Flames. They have a need, they need offense and they need a backup goaltender. Do you maybe need to, if you're the Devils and you want to attach Palat with a little bit more? You might need to, but you'd open up cap room. Open up cap room for a Luke Hughes extension to maybe go out and get another top 6 player. Because right now, Ondrej Palat doesn't seem to fit New Jersey's, top 6 and, bottom 6. They really did a lot this offseason. They brought in guys like Evgeny Dadonov, Connor Brown. Those guys are going to take roles in the bottom 6. Ondrej Palat, where are you looking to? I mean, you look at how much money he's taking up right now. It doesn't make sense for New Jersey to maybe hold on to this. It might make a little bit more sense for them to move off of Ondrej Palat's contract with something that Calgary would be interested in. Calgary might be interested in bringing over Nico Daws and being the backup goaltender because he's probably better than Devin Cooley. There's definitely more upside there with Nico Daws than there is with Devin Cooley. You have one of the best young goaltenders in the NHL in Dustin Wolf. You got to go get someone for him. Nico Daws, I mean, trying to figure out ways where this could make sense or where the Devils could, potentially get, some value back for Nico Daws. This would be one of those situations because, like I said, with Nico Daws, it's year 6. Didn't become a backup goaltender. New Jersey felt like they had to give Allen a funky contract like that just to make sure that they have a good backup goaltender and they're not have to relying on somebody else in free agency or Nico Daws. So it says a lot. It says Devils are moving off Nico Daws. Let me know. Drop it in the comments. Who do you want to see? What do you want to see the Devils do with Nico Daws? Do you trade him? Do you have maybe, a mock trade you'd like to throw in the comments? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys all really soon.